Order! 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 Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutor that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he did not carry a pistol, this broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! But the Prosecutor was the only one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Wait! I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness's testimony. Would you please tell us what you've recalled, Miss Skye? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. Emma's recollection. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detectives hadn't even designed him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin his... Stop! Please don't pursue this any further. Lana, what's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I've already confessed to the crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Skye. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. It seems we are finally getting to the core of the matter. Jetzt wird's interessant. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark. Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. The power outrage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So then you... Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we've just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've gotta help that other person. What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all a bit kind of blur. Miss Skye was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then, what happened next? Are you sure about this? Of course. I even draw a picture of him here. But it was the chief of detectives who thought of this hideous beast. And that was just about this year. The Blue Badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh, brother. Just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion. Gute Nacht, Klein Greenie. His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with its winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation. If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this Blue Badger, really? The Blue Badger hadn't even been dreamt up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the Blue Badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show us this mysterious Blue Badger look-alike. Muss ja die Vase gewesen sein. The mysterious Blue Badger was in fact this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them the correct angle to look... Okay. Oh, I remember. Das ist sau scheiße. Weil das muss jetzt genau sitzen. Kommt das hin? This isn't right. Das ist eine der Hassstellen von mir in dem Spiel. Weil es hier sehr, sehr viele Möglichkeiten gibt. Ja. Oh! Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the Blue Badger. No, it can't be. Order. Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious blue badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, on one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed? Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? The location, the murder weapon, the murderer. Location kann es nicht sein. Location ist klar. Ne? Das war das Büro. The murder weapon. The murderer? Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. At a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Yes, well knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf of the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Gunt's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gunt's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what the reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness's testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf of the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah! The suit of armor holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall wielding the King of Prosecutors trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea, but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright? What's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Ach du Kacke. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! Thought... I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What? What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Dark murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that would work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Huh, touché, Miss Sky. Of course, yes! That only leaves us with one possibility. BonoPix, vielen lieben Dank für 29 Monate der Treue. Willkommen zurück, mein Freund. Regi, sub in the chat, guys. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In one manner or another. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a text exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister is a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. Ja, damit kennt sich Edgeworth bestens aus. Now then, Mr. Wright. Please, show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgetting this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there is a line here, drawn in blood. So what are you saying? Is these dots were once lines? Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal us the answer. I I got to connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written given the circumstances. His murderer's name. Ulu. Ob das reicht? It's a defense attorney's duty to prove their client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Sky.
Yes! Ja,
Alter, dieser Partycrash gerade. Hey Sneaky, danke dir für 18 Monate der Treue. Willkommen zurück, Mann, ja? Danke für den Support weiterhin. Seaworthy, can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gunt. Do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Dark was sentenced to death. He was convinced because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to... Der war natürlich total innocent, der Joe Dark. Total. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Dark really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We are merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Wir nähern uns dem ganz, ganz großen Finale, Leute. Ja. Der letzte Teil steht jetzt an. Der letzte Teil. Was passiert denn jetzt? Tag 4? Nee. Zweiter Teil von Tag 3. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Huh. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Wait, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. I take it, Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give you this if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law. Evidence law. Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. You must know the 2 rules of evidence law. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Okay. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you are planning to take him on, You're going to need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now. Though, all that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat, despite all these allegations being thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth. The real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined with this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she unwittingly caused a man's death. And now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. Mosel, PP Hands. Rule 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule 2. Unregistered evidence presented must be relevant to the case on trial. Okay. Court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well... Normally, this is where the prosecution calls forth a witness. But, this isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that you, Mr. Edgeworth, may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses. I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. Solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth a further witness. What? But there's no precedent for what you're proposing. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Huh. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. The defense accepts the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright. You do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. The defense calls the time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Damon Gunt. The defense calls Damon Gunt to the stand. Damon Gunt? What does he have to do with anything? As a defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gunt has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. Huh. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. Alright, bailiff. Please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this, some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Worthy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation. Alles klar, gute Nacht, Chronofix, ja? Danke, dass du da warst. So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gunt. Fine. My name is Damon Gunt. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gunt, the court requests to hear your testimony. Ho ho, righto! What's with the grim face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been pretty clear already.